It's nice to sit down with you because feels like it's been a really long time.
It has.
You just got back from Illinois. You were there for only a few days, but it just feels like the last week or so has been chaos.
It's been weird. Life's been really weird lately. I had a death back thing going on.
And you were so down and out, which is so unlike you, but that was paired with flying back to Illinois for the Christmas party and to have some meetings. And now you're back, and I feel like we can all take a collective deep breath because you're back to yourself too. Not into the microphone,
Not
though.
like that. Okay, so not
into
the microphone. Well, I will tell you, my energy is stronger and more fired up than it's been in a long time, so I'm ready for this.
Good. And you just got off Friday's GrowCom call about mission and values, and I feel like a lot of what you just said in the call is going to kind of play into what we talk about today, which I'm super excited about, because I feel like we've spent a lot of time talking about things that are so in my wheelhouse, the marketing side.
Yeah.
But when we're planning these, it's man, what a big piece of this puzzle we're missing. And sales. And that is so it's all you, man. So I'm super excited for today. And when we talk about sales, it's obviously not many people's favorite thing. And, maybe I'm way off base, but when we look at a lot of entrepreneurs, especially people we know, but just generally speaking, it's many people get into this work and start their own business because they like the work.
Yeah.
Photographers like to take pictures, maybe they're not born salesmen. They like doing that. And it's not just in our industry, but today I think we're really going to kind of hone in on the best sales tips for landscapers. Yeah. Cause obviously that's your specialty, but we see it all the time with people who have started businesses in our industry because they're great laborers. You can do the work. This is hard work.
Yeah, what Michael Gerber with the E-Myth calls it, I think the technician seizure or something. Basically, everybody goes out and starts their own thing because they're man, I'm really good at doing the thing. But just doing the thing isn't the only part of running a business, having employees, selling, growing. There's so many pieces, and sales is a really big one.
And I think that hits people like a ton of bricks when they get in and they think that just being really good at what they're doing is going to propel their business to this level of success, that they dream of, and they fail to realize how big of a role things like accounting and marketing and systems and sales really play. And when you're kind of at that level, it's hard to invest in the professionals that can maybe just make that happen. Not many people especially start a lawn and landscaping company with hundreds of thousands of dollars just readily there to invest in these marketing professionals and salesmen because they really like doing the work and they want to stay in the field. You know, it's it's such a catch-22. And it's cool because maybe you're listening to this right now thinking, I really suck at sales. Or maybe you don't even realize that you suck at sales, because sucking at sales can actually present as all these problems that people experience. That nobody wants to work.
Yep.
Sales is you're selling to candidates out there. So
everything's a sale.
Exactly. Everything is a sale. Or maybe you're spending a ton of time working on quotes and you're working with the wrong people. You're working with people who would never accept your work.
And I used to kind of think that was a dirty thing, that everything was a sale. That was one of the biggest things, from spending so much time around Grant Cardone's sales stuff, is really realizing me having a relationship with you was a sale. My kids listening to me is a sale. It's persuasion, getting yeses. Every little yes you get in your life is a form of a sale. You can picture it that way if you're realistic, or you can be, if you think it sounds dirty, you can call it whatever it is, but it is a sale. And there's so much of that goes into life, and there's so much of that goes into a business, because you have those yeses, like you said, new employees, right? Not just new employees, new people that you work with, the conversations you have with your vendors, the conversations you have with everything is little yeses and nos that make the business go better or worse for you based off of what you can persuade and get yeses to.
Exactly.
And sorry, I went on a tangent there.
No, I love that, because it's so true, because that's really what you're trying to do. Yeses are what, the yes to your job offer, the yes to your quote. Those simple yeses are what lead you into growth or failure if you can't get those yeses, if they're all no's. And, so that's the biggest thing I want to focus on in this little part, is that if you're experiencing these problems that I kind of talked about, the nobody wants to work problem, which, maybe it's hard for people to admit that that's actually a sales problem. Like, it's going back to taking accountability, like it's really powerful to be like, dude, maybe my sales skills do suck or could use work. So I could take action and I could experience positive change. Like, it's so cool to think maybe this is the missing piece of the puzzle that hasn't been presented this way to someone that's listening before.
Yeah.
That could change the entire game for them. And it's funny because, like, when I think about, like, the mission and values talk today too, but it's so many things. Like, with business, everyone seems to overcomplicate everything.
Yeah.
Creating systems. It's a freaking checklist, but people let that word systems hold them back so far. Mission and values, you don't realize how simple it really can be just to get it out on paper.
Yeah. Well, like I said in the call, it's like your mission.
Exactly.
Mission, I always looked at it like this big mystical thing, but it's just why you do the thing and then what makes you different.
Exactly.
Like, that's the mission.
And sales, like you just said, is simply persuasion, but it's also relationships.
Yes.
Like, it's the persuasion in relationships. It's the confidence. It's believing in what you do, and it's believing, more importantly, that what you do is more than just like mow grass and mulch beds and plant flowers and trim hedges. Because if that's what you think you do, kind of goes back to the how to tell your story episode. If that's what you think you do, then you could not ever possibly believe in yourself enough to sell well.
When it's so funny that, like, when I'm selling, it's all, and I talked to you about this a little bit before we started this, but like, it's kind of like just thinking about dating. My thing isn't about like, oh, the lights, the landscape, that we can do this, we can do that. That's like the least of my focus. The biggest piece of my focus is I want you to like and trust me. How do I listen? How am I upright and attentive to you, and making sure that you realize that I'm the person that's going to bring all the things that you need.
Exactly. And it's so much more than, like, if you just go to a consult for whatever service and you're presenting it like, yeah, I mean, I'm the dude. I'm the dude that has the truck and the trailer and the mower. So yeah, you got to hire me because I do the stuff with the truck and the mower and the trailer. And then that's it. And you're just like, yeah, you need to hire. Like, why wouldn't you hire me? Just because, like, I can do that work. You're selling yourself. And as the CEO, it's like, that's, again, I feel like I'm tying the mission and values thing back into all of this, but it's so true because you are guiding the ship, and you have to believe in why you're doing what you're doing. You have to believe in what you're doing to get anybody else to come on board.
Yeah.
Employees or clients. And you have to believe in yourself. I think you recently said this. I don't know where you said it, but you have to believe in yourself more than the person that's also doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Than your competitor.
Well, and that's something that's side note to this whole thing, and side note to, like, everything in life. That's, like you said, I was kind of in a funk last week, and I can truly feel, like, when I'm in a funk, anytime that I'm a little off, because not everyone is always on, right? No one is. And it's so directly tied to energy for me. I'm at my best when I'm maximum energy, because my energy draws in good things. And, like, it's so crazy that's why you see the most successful people. And this is relating back to sales, because sales is energy too. When my energy is high, I draw, like, people fucking trust me even more. And that's why you see, like, highly effective people working out and being in shape, because just like being good for your family, like that, you're working on keeping your energy high. Like, I don't know who said it recently that I was listening to, but they're like, literally, if you look at successful people, like, there's very, very few super successful people that you don't see that are just not, like, fucking full of energy.
Well, isn't that funny? So, like, if believing yourself and having confidence is all rooted, in you truly, and how you feel about yourself and how your energy is and how you're projecting to the world, then yeah, like, your mental and physical health would be a huge, like, you can't be unwell and be presenting in an authentic way. And that's the thing about you, is that maybe when you say the things like, I get people to trust me, maybe that sounds like skeezy to someone, but, like, I know you, I know your heart, and I also know how you sell, and I think a lot of people listening probably do as well. Like, you are one of the most authentic people ever. Like, you're not putting up, I know you mentioned Grant Cardone, and this is not to put any judgments on Grant Cardone, but like you don't put up any true kind of a front. Like you really are building relationships because you're very authentic.
Yeah, and when I say I'm getting people to trust me or focusing, like, you know, that's my mission, is to have people like and trust me. By the way, How to Win Friends and Influence People, great book, as we're talking about like and trust. Yeah, nothing about skeeziness. It's all 100% me.
Yeah.
And when I'm bringing it to the game, like, I love sales. Like, and I like this. And we were kind of talking again before this, like, it is a thing that you can learn. Yeah, I'm confident. Okay, I get it. But I'm not always confident. And sometimes I feel like a total fucking loser too, you know, and it is the little tiny wins that over time will make you feel confident. So even if you're not an extrovert or whatever, you can learn this and you can chip away and you get those little wins. And in a company, you start out selling little things and they get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you learn more and more and more about how to do that. But yeah, me getting people to trust me is just me going all in and 100% backing like everything I say. And like that, giving that total vibe of what I say is what's going to happen isn't bullshit. Like, it is the real deal. And it's great to know that that's what you're going to get with someone.
Well, that's so cool. And that so perfectly leads into my next thought, because it is true. I mean, I think if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, well, shit, now I have to become this like alpha confident version of myself that maybe doesn't exist right now. Like, there's so much, like, that's just not my personality. Like, that doesn't have to be, you don't have to be all like balls out, like macho man, whatever, to present as confident or to believe in what you're doing. Like, any personality can thrive in this, because all it is rooted in yourself and your own energy and believing in yourself. And it's so cool that what you said about, like, if I say it, it's going to happen, because that is you. And I couldn't say it better. Like, what you say will happen.
Yeah.
You will do what you say 100% of the time. And even before you had, you know, a multi-million-dollar business or had done all these things, had 2 locations, whatever, you were able to attract great people to our team, and you were able to sit down in interviews and, like, not even talking about this client sales part, but like, you were able to build our team so well because that's how you are. Like, you are authentic, and it's easy to look you in the eyes and know that, damn, this guy is, if he says he's going to create $100 million company, like, yeah, I want to get on board, because that's, you know, what's going to happen. And I think that's cool. And I think that is something that people, that is teachable. Like, you're not teachable, learnable, I guess, you know, like you can be that person.
Yeah. And I think the thing to remember in this is, if we're just talking about sales for selling to like new clients or whatever, like, the hard thing is not having someone calling you and showing up to their door and listening. All you're doing is showing up and listening. And then you are figuring out the biggest issues, fact finding, and then helping them solve that. That's all you're doing. Don't make it any harder than that, and don't get twisted about what it is. The hard thing is like cold calls, cold knocking on doors, times where people don't want you there. That's what's hard. And I'm not saying don't do that, because I've done that. I want to, like, if you're uncomfortable in the situation that's easy, maybe go out and do something that's like painful. Like, half the time it's like, I know I'm not going to be super successful if I knock doors, but I would do it. And I would also do it because it helps challenge me and puts me in, anytime you can do something where you're uncomfortable, you're growing faster, right? But that's the other thing to remember in this. Like, if you're worried about selling or you're uneasy with it, realize those people are calling you and they're asking you to come there. There's no easier situation to walk into. Then you just have to be a good person from there. You just have to be a good person. You have to listen. It's not about, I'm a confident person. I've got that from doing this a lot. You know, that's where you get that. But you don't need to be Mr. Big, arrogant, confident, whatever guy to sell stuff, especially when people are coming to you. You just need to be the person who listens. You just need to be the person who solves problems. All you have to do is listen and solve problems, and you'll sell everything you need to sell.
Exactly. And it all comes back to, you know, who are you? What is your company? What do you guys stand for? And are you the fit for the problems they're having, are you, going to have the solution?
Yeah.
Because people aren't, people are calling you and coming to you and seeking you out, or listening to you in like a cold door knocking situation because something you've said or whatever, like they have a problem.
Yeah.
And you seem like you could be the person to solve it. And the problem is not like, my grass isn't striped good enough. That's never the problem.
Yeah.
Like the problem is never, I need to see more grass pictures. And
well, that's why I don't like the bragging or, I only show pictures of work just to give people ideas of what certain things look like. It's not like, hey, I did this. Hey, I can do that. You don't sell to people by saying, I'm the best. I've got this much experience. I
have this mower.
I have this mower. I have this equipment. That's not what does it. They want to trust that you're going to fulfill and fix their problems.
Well, and people connect with people 100% of the time. If I could say how our brand has become as successful as it is, it's because we've never presented as the typical, people that market that way. It's like we've always put people first in our brand. So by the time like you're actually physically meeting with someone, you feel like you know all of us.
Yep.
And that's huge. And I see that. I see like people in GrowCom, I can see the way their social media posts are changing to be more people focused and their brands are changing. And it's so cool to see other people taking those uncomfortable steps of putting yourself out there and feeling vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because like you said, when you feel vulnerable, like, and you feel uncomfortable, like that, like you're growing. And that's what you have to keep doing. It's not about being the best laborer. It's not about being the best tech. Like you have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions to thrive as a leader and salesman and to grow your company and to attract your team. I mean, it's all interconnected.
Yeah, constantly. And I mean, I think that's something as an owner that I feel like I'm pretty good at is I'm pretty good at like, even when I don't want to do something, I'm really good for the most part at doing it anyway. And showing up and knowing that like, yeah, it's going to be hard. That's a part of this. It like dealing with scary stuff and people's expectations and employees and everything. That's a part of it if you want to grow something. And continuously, back to that's how you get confident. You continuously show up to hard shit and you keep doing it. Like nobody knows that they're the biggest badass in the world before they are recognized as the biggest badass in the world or whatever. It's constantly chipping away and doing stuff that most people don't do until one day everybody looks around and they're like, shit. I told my dad first day I was back this week, I was like, damn, we're standing here. And I'm like, I'm always so hard on myself, and I'm always so feel like we've got so much further to go. But I was like, shit, it's crazy that we've done like 2.5 million in sales or something this year, and it's like that we came and created that just out of thin air from nothing, but that's, you don't see that in process, just like the sales thing. You don't get worried about being good and being confident. You hear us having this conversation. You're like, well, yeah, if I was as confident as you, I would sell a bunch of stuff too. It is days on days on days on days on whether I wanted to or whether I didn't want to, showing the fuck up and doing whatever it took to move forward. And when you feel like you're dying, you're still doing it. Like I felt like I was going to lose everything. I felt like I was not going to make it. I felt like I couldn't go to work. I felt sick. I felt this. I felt that. I felt the other. And every day, even if the step was a little bit smaller, I took a step. And then that's how you look back and you're confident with sales. And that's how you look back and you've grown some shit and all of that. And that's how you get to be someone who is, even if you're an introvert, you get to be where you're more extroverted because you've gained that faith in yourself.
I know. That is crazy. It's so true though. Like you've said, like if you at the beginning had to deal with the problems you deal with today, like you would just crumple up in a ball and like die, like and cry every day.
My actual saying was, yeah. And it's so true. It's so powerful to know we're not really getting off sales because all of this stuff is intertwined. But what she's saying is something that, like, I've said it a lot, and it's so true because when you look back, if I look back and if I had to do and deal with what I deal with now every day, when I first started my company, I would just wake up and cry every day. Like, and that's that's the transition of growing and becoming more. And that's how you get from, start to finish or start from here to there. That's how you get better at sales. That's how you gain more. And that's what I can't stress enough. I know a lot of people probably look at, like, just here, this going from no sales to like 50 a month, and then do like almost $500,000 in sales in our first 9 months, of never even being here. Like, I know somebody would look at that. Somebody would look at that and be like, that's nothing. And a lot of people would look at that and be like, wow, if I had X, Y, Z, it's like, that's just a part of the process. Like, you're going to get there too. Just make sure you're moving forward.
And you don't ever want to be the person that's holding yourself back. Like, your own inner work and your own, like, you never feel like you're good enough.
No.
And you're always improving. And that, I think, is such a thing of power, because you never want to look and be the person or be the reason that your company didn't hit its goals.
Yeah.
You should always take accountability and be like, yes, it was all me, but you should never be like, it was my own ignorance and my own, like, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, have you heard me say the Ed Milet thing, blissfully dissatisfied? So, I mean, the biggest people out there, and I'm not saying I'm like a big deal by any means, but the biggest people that have done the most, like, they're not satisfied. And sometimes I guarantee they feel the same way as me. Like, they envy people that appear to be satisfied. But I truly don't think, like, people are living a facade of acting like they're satisfied with less just because they've given up on getting more. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't think people who are just in a spot are necessarily, some people are satisfied, but like, the people that do get the most out there, they're never satisfied. They're always wanting more. And I love that addiction. I love that growth. I want those new things. I want those new exciting things in our relationship and our business and everything. In sales, that's like sales. It's like a drug. We're talking about selling stuff. It starts with the $100 sale. Then it's the $1,000 sale. Then it's $5. Then it's $10. Then it's $20. Then it's $30. Then it's $100. And each time you're shocked again. How is it possible to sell that? And it just happens. And then you get more confidence. Like, here, it's a new area, and like having bigger and bigger sales that I've had those sales before, just never here. You just keep getting more confidence. And you're like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible. Didn't even know we could have those things.
Well, and then your confidence is more attractive to people, because that is, sexy to people. Yep. People are attracted to that. So it's like, yeah, then you catch the eye of more people that are watching you on social media, more potential clients, more people that want to work, with you. And then you're catching the eye of more potential candidates that are maybe, were happy or whatever at the job they're working at, but man, they saw this company come in, and like, this confidence that they're exuding is just wild. Talk to me about the opportunities. It's crazy how that confidence can just kind of spiral everything.
People smell blood. All right. Like, people sense fear. So yeah, that's what's crazy about sales. As you start winning, you win more, typically. And if you're fearful, afraid, everything else, you lose more. And that's why, like, I really, truly practice, even when I'm scared because I need more work or this or that or the other, being confident as I can possibly muster. And that's something you have to do, is you have to give it your all to be as confident as you can muster at the time. And then you continuously focus on growing that, because there is so much in sales that's just if the level of certainty the client gets about you. And that you can't give them certainty by what you know how to do or anything else. It's a feeling of trust.
So what about when you do get rejected? Like, so you're like thinking about, your confidence is kind of climbing. You are starting to hear yes more, but like, you still, maybe this huge job that you were sure you were going to land, you didn't land. Like, how do you not let like rejection shake you, or does it?
I mean, it does. The worst kind of rejection in sales is when you just described it. I don't know if you described it right, but for me, the worst rejection in sales is when I am 100% sure someone's going to say yes, and then they back out. That infuriates me, because you always think that you got good enough to make sure that wasn't going to happen, and then it ends up happening.
But it's so funny, because truly it usually has so little to do with you. Like, it's interesting to think about it from an outside perspective. Like, maybe you guys hit it off so great. You like really vibed with this client. You put together the quote. You guys had back and forths while they reviewed it. And he's like, yeah, I'm certainly going to go with you. I just need a whatever. And then you hear a couple days later, or they ghost you, or you hear a couple days later, like, no, I can't. Sorry. You don't know what could have happened in that time. Like, they could have had a family member that had like a tragic accident, or they just lost something big. So money they were banking on spending with you just, like,
it's gone or whatever.
Exactly. Like you can't let it shake you, because you can only be responsible for yourself and your own energy. And you truly don't know other people's circumstances. Just like with sales, you can't spend out of your own pocket. Like that holds so many people back in the beginning, thinking like, well, you would never spend $10,000 with me because I don't have $10,000 to spend on myself. Like I'm not, it's so funny how it all comes back to believing in yourself and believing in your message. And I think if you don't have the confidence yet that you're kind of explaining there, the confidence that comes with winning, like maybe you are just starting, I think it's as simple as starting with, who am I? What do I really do? What do I stand for? How can I help people? Yep. And believing not in the work that you do, but the way that the work that you do changes lives. And that is honestly going to guide you, because if you're being true to those things that you map out in your mission, your values, whatever it is, then it doesn't have to be complicated, but that can guide you towards getting those right people, those right clients, those right candidates, having those wins, and then experiencing the confidence.
And so I will say, though, you asked, does it bother you? A lot of times it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. Rejection doesn't bother me at all. It's when you think you're going to get it for sure and you don't. That's all that bothers me.
Is there any way to, I feel like there's no way to eliminate
the ways
that.
to eliminate that are, the more confident you get, the better you get. Close sales, get deposits when you first meet people, when people are most certain. Like,
that's been game changing for you, right?
Yeah, and I haven't done it as much lately because I just haven't really had the right opportunities. I've had bigger sales that required a little more moving pieces. It seems like my sales here in Florida have just started to be just like, instead of, at first it was $5,000 and $6,000. Now it seems like it's like $10,000 to $30,000, and I don't get as many because I have not got enough confidence in that area, and I've been shifting a lot of pricing stuff yet where I'm not getting as many deposits on those, like, and actively doing that. But yeah, so smaller stuff, if it's a $6,000, $10,000, $12,000 job, getting a deposit when someone's hot on the hook right then, like getting that final. To me, that's inking the deal. Like, I do have one weird job where they gave me a $1,200 deposit and they've still never said yes, and it's been like a month. Like, it's weird. Yeah. But at least you've got that deposit and the job's not gone. No one's going to walk away from non-returnable money. So that's probably one of the best things I can say, is try to figure out how to sell people enough, get the deposit so you've got the yes on site. Because otherwise you have no idea. Because I've got a perfect example of yesterday. Now, this is two things. I gave so much certainty in this appointment I did 2 days ago that the person said, even if the last person they didn't even have like good estimates for the whole job yet. They just had people that would do like a piece or this or that, or like your little lawn boy deal. I was the first person that showed up and was like, hey, you want suggestions on what to do? This is what we can do. Trust me, it'll look great. And gave him a plan. And just from my presentation and my talk, he was like, even if this other person was $2,000 less than you, I would still go with you. So I'm super confident in this as one that we would get, but it's also one that could totally flip-flop really quick. But at the same time, I also, I know that it's still kind of open. It's so hard to explain the ones that burn my ass, but they burn my ass. And I'm always trying to get better at not having it happen, because it infuriates me when I think I'm going to get something and it just gets pulled out from my fingertips. And that's what will frustrate you probably the most, is you'll have things that you are already assuming you're going to win, and in the back of your head now you're counting on it. And that's what happens, is we start counting on it to have that work, to have that thing, and it gets pulled away from you. And you feel like you fucked up really bad.
Though, I'm a firm believer that your ideal client is always going to choose you. So as simple as that. And it's kind of like the whole, the way the universe works. It's like, maybe I believe that there's a reason that person went with someone else, and it was a bigger reason. Like if they would have gone with you, they could have ended up being a nightmare client, or it could have ended up being something that totally like you lose a ton of money on. Like that's, I guess, maybe like what I would want to tell myself. Yeah. There is a bigger reason why we didn't get that client, or maybe in the future there's still an opportunity.
I do feel like everything happens for a reason. You know, some other like little tips, tricks and stuff that I think that we should be focusing on that we've kind of grazed over and haven't said. So with this giving certainty, if you're new to this and you're really wanting to sell stuff, like you need to be as professional as possible. I know you've always hated my polos and this and that and the other. When I really used to tuck in my shirts and be Mr. Little Professional. But I don't know if it was Grant or somebody that said you should look like you can afford to buy what you sell.
I think you experienced a big shift in your sales when you started wearing dress shirts and dress pants and dress shoes to your consultations. And I remember you when you first made that shift from like, yes, I'm wearing a polo with my logo on it, to no, I just walked out of Express and that's what I'm wearing to your landscaping consultation. You could tell the difference in the way people saw you, because what are these people seeing? They're seeing 3 or 4 other people that showed up in their work truck, fresh out of the field with dirty boots, dirty as hell.
And not that any of that's bad.
No, a lot of times that's just like the necessary way to grow.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how presentation truly does matter.
But even now, I think I would have my truck, and like if I had to do it all and I had to jump out of the field, like I'd have like a clean pair of blue jeans, my polo, my dress shoes, and I think I would throw it on real quick in the car, because it's even like how you feel about yourself.
Exactly.
You know, the way I dress and the way when I feel confident, like it all plays into me feeling confident. Like I don't like the scuff on the tip of my shoe right now. That's really fucking with my confidence. Like I want nicer shoes, you know? Like all those little things play into how confident you are. So why would you, if you knew you could just dress a little bit better, why would you not do that to help your confidence?
Or like carry a thing of diaper wipes. Like we are swimming in diaper wipe packages because we have so many kids. But like, why wouldn't you just keep a thing of diaper wipes in your truck so you can like wipe the dirt off your face? You know, like I think those little things, and maybe some mints or whatever, like what are those few things that make you get out of the truck and just like feel like, oh, now I'm ready. Yeah. You know, if you're someone who is still maybe spending a lot of their time in the field, like it's huge. And I think I know we sort of touched on this in the beginning, but I do want to mention like actually taking care of yourself, making time to go to the gym, which probably sounds ridiculous for people who are working in the field, because it's like, dude, I spend, 10 hours a day doing physical work. Why would I go to the gym? Yeah. Whatever. But things like that where you actually are like improving your physical and mental health and prioritize that, like your confidence is going to skyrocket. Like how confident are you after doing 75 hard and making these like shifts you've made this year? Like I feel like your confidence is a lot bigger than it already was. Yeah, I mean, a lot of what I've done this year and how that correlates to sales is I'm just a lot more like unshakable is where I'm at. Like, so even if I'm worried, even if I don't feel like there's enough work, or even if I feel like there's this next big problem or whatever it is, because in business it's just like it's a never ending pile of challenges and problems. Like I just don't care as much. I just know that like whatever comes my way, I'm going to handle it somehow, and that alone gives you a lot of confidence. So yeah, 75 hard, good for sales. Something I kind of want to, maybe this is neither here nor there, and it won't feel as connected as I feel like it is to me, but something I think about is you started you really started prioritizing your overall wellness around the same time we relocated to Florida and started our second location. Not for the first time. You've always been very like health focused, but I feel like you were like had like a rejuvenation of like taking care of yourself. Yeah. And it's interesting because around that same time, yes, we've had so many people with all the kind words and all the support and all the like cheering us on, and those people are in the forefront, and we love all of that. But we've had a lot of people be like, good luck. Nobody's spending money down there. Good luck. You got to deal with, Southwest Florida. Like nobody, it's this much a mow. You can't do it. You can't build stuff. Like basically that whole, like, I'm going to watch you fail. And it's interesting because when you're thinking about, and it does correlate to sales, like not everyone is always going to be cheering you on. Like as you grow and as you're experiencing these wins and maybe leveling up your confidence a bit, the people who are not cheering you on, you're going to notice that those people are there more. Like maybe it comes from that disgruntled ex-employee or that client that left a bad review, and being unshakable, like you said, that is huge, because those things can, like, you might be feeling really confident and then something like that could just like rock you.
Yeah.
Like, or to get made fun. This is something we kind of continually talk about because it's something that holds a lot of people back from being super active and putting themselves out there on social media. It's the getting made fun of, which rattled me in the beginning. I used to like, it would make me want to cry getting made fun of on social media on our company page in the beginning. And now I'm like, bring it on, man. Like, it's so different. I've gained that level of confidence where I am unshakable with those comments. And I think a lot of people, like, maybe like the unshakable part is like a huge asset, and that's a huge part of sales, because you are going to experience the people who are maybe not cheering you on or maybe don't go with you, and maybe it's just rattling.
Like, this is a really cool conversation that we're having, because we're hitting on like all these little ancillary, or like these little aspects of life that affect how you sell, right? Like unshakable.
Yeah, it's not like 1, 2, 3, how to sell better. Like it's like Drew things.
It's so crazy how we had a call in GrowCom on this not too long ago, but how it's probably one of my favorite calls I've ever had, but how everything is mindset. Like everything in the world is mindset. How you sell, how you show up, like what you get in your life is by what you think in your mind. What you say is what you think is what you get. Like, it's so fucking crazy, and it's so powerful that it was really getting into conferences and doing all this stuff, like going to a Tony Robbins and learning the whole aspect of like, you need to be able to shift your state. Like you know that I'm really into racing right now, and I'm putting this down. Motocross. And I'm really putting this down in the books by putting this on audio, that if anyone knows what this is, my goal this year is to qualify for Loretta's in the plus 25 or plus 30A class. And that's a big deal to me. But I look back at racing, just like sales and all this stuff. And with being into this, I'm watching a couple young kids that are working their way up from their amateurs. And so much of it is about your mentality. Like everything is that way. That I don't give a fuck attitude. I'm going and I'm getting what I'm going to get. Like,
you believe in yourself.
Yeah, nobody's going to mess with me. Mm-hmm. And it's so crazy that is so important in everything. But nobody nourishes their mind. Like no one, how often do people pour into, like, I mean, I still, like, sometimes when I talk about meditation, I still feel like dorky because people look at you like it's hocus pocus. And I'm like, nobody is actively... How many people are pouring into their mind, trying to work on meditation, trying to work on like reading actively, and trying to fortify the one thing that determines everything? Like literally, you get annoyed because I copy Tom and I say the whole 6 inches between your ears thing, but that small area, but like, that controls everything in your life, and we don't fucking work on it at all.
Well, and back to like so many people start their lawn and landscape companies because maybe I'm really good at doing that work, or I think it's really easy. It comes really easy to me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I don't want to have a boss. I want to work for myself. Like all these like little reasons. And you don't realize maybe going into it that, holy shit, I've got a lot of work to do on myself to get to a place where I can create something that's thriving. And I think if you're listening to this, that is the goal, because if your goal is to just stay solo and create a job for yourself, then that maybe that's not as necessary, you know, you should, because wellness is extremely important. But I think the people that, you know, we connect with the most and that are most likely listening to this are the people that are like, man, I want this big team. I want this big company. I want to hit these numbers. I want to create this empire from probably nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is crazy how it all comes back to just you. And it's just you. Like, so we had talked to some friends recently who are in they're in GrowCom also, in the transition of like wanting to phase their faces out of like the everyday operations, because now they have an admin team that is handling the operation. So it's like clients can't just call the office anymore and be like, hey, I want to talk to him or I want to talk to her.
Yeah.
And can be confusing and hard. It can be a hard adjustment. So I think it's kind of also cool, and we should touch on how when you create this whole, like, you believe in yourself. You've got all this. You've done all this mindset work. You know who you are, what you do, why you do it. Like, it is then your responsibility to trickle that down into your team and empower them in the same way. And I think you can nurture these people and facilitate the growth for the people on your team by encouraging them the same way, like you've been encouraged. Like, what book just lit you up? Like, tell your team about that. Be open about that. What podcast do you love listening to when you're sitting at the office working on quotes? Like, things like that. Share these tools with people who may not have been exposed to it before. And then that's how you create where it's not all on your shoulders. Like, it's spread throughout your team. Plus, I mean, people are truly actually growing personally that way.
Yeah, seeing team members start to read some and invest in themselves is really big to me. Seeing some team members take on 75 hard. The more you can help everybody win around you, the more you're going to win. The more but that's sales. Like, the more you can help people, the more stuff you will sell. Like,
exactly. Like, it's all it is. So yeah, exactly. We overcomplicate it so much. That's what it is.
You help people, you will sell stuff. You help enough people, you'll get whatever you want.
And it's so funny because like we kind of said in the beginning, and I think Tom Reber actually just posted this recently where he's like, what do you, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think he posted, like, what do you think of when you think of salesmen? Like, what's the first thing? And it's so funny because like the negative connotation of salesmen is like skis ball, used car salesman, dirt bag, just want my money, don't actually care. It's so funny when like the best sales advice we could give you is to truly be authentic and to truly like root yourself and believe in yourself and like know that what you're doing is changing lives, because it's changing your team's lives, it's changing your clients' lives, it's changing your family's lives. Like, it's huge and important, and it's not just mowing fucking lawns, and it's not just putting mulch down. Like, it is so big and it's unlimited. And when you can truly believe in that, like, that is sales.
Yes.
It's so big. It's not, it's authentic. It's authenticity. And I think if we could maybe shift that within our industry, at least, that thinking of like, no, dude, I'm not a salesman. I'm not into sales, whatever. And shift the whole, because I'm not like skeezy, whatever. I just like to do the work. Like, and shift the thinking to like, no, I'm a salesman because I am like strong and authentic and believe in myself.
It's crazy that like, that, you just said it, and it's really funny. The I'm not a salesperson because that's sleazy. I like doing the work, and it's so funny. Here again, mindset. It's so funny that we talk about we're getting into sales. Well, hell, I got all the way to meditation at one point. But the mindset of this, okay, like that realization, I don't know when it was in my reading and my learning or wherever, where I started hearing more and more people say that message. It's like, are you like, are salespeople sleazy, or are you a person that really, really believes in the service and the value you bring? And are you actually doing a disservice to all the people who could potentially have your service by not being a better salesperson, by not going and knocking doors and shouting your name, being loud and trying to have everybody get to enjoy your service? Because you are a person who cares. You are a person who delivers a great service. So are you actually in the wrong by not becoming a salesperson to scream your name, push your name, and close more deals, because it's in a lot of people's best interest to use your company because your company's better. It provides more. It's reliable, XYZ, whatever, It's a mind. It's just the decision. Like, if that's the case, I'm not sleazy. I'm actually doing something very good for everybody by being a salesperson. And it's all on how you look at the situation.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's the perception. And I love what you're saying, because I feel like so often in GrowCom, like maybe it sounds like we're like just constantly saying this, but last time I said, is it beating a dead horse? I was going to say that again. I was like, last time I couldn't remember if I said it right. It's like, get loud about your message. And it's crazy how uncomfortable that can make some people. But I think that's what it all comes back to, is believing in yourself, believing in your message. And so it's so like we believe in what we do so much that it's easy now at this point for us to be loud. Yeah. And we've seen the tangible changes we've made in people's lives. And so, yes, of course, that propels you into like believing in yourself more and having the confidence, because it's like, holy shit, like we've done this and we've still only done so little. We can do so much. It's our duty to be loud.
Yeah.
And when we say it in GrowCom, it's because the people we're saying it to, like we're looking them in the eyes via Zoom, and it's like, I believe in you. Like, I believe in what you're doing. Like, why don't you believe in yourself enough to be so loud, to be the loudest person, like, out there shouting, because it is your duty, because what you're doing is incredible.
Yeah.
And I think maybe if people don't take anything else from the best sales advice for, landscapers, it's that. It's like the work you're doing changes lives, truly. If you give one person a job that allows them to buy a car, buy a home, take care of their kids, whatever, like you've done something pretty massive, right? Like, yeah. And then what if you could just amplify that?
Isn't it crazy that like the sales advice really, like, I'm personally, and that's what I want to ask you is like, and make sure that I'm thinking about this right. This conversation to me is, it's more posed for the person who's probably not that confident yet. They're probably trying to learn how to sell. They're probably trying to get some ideas on how to become better. Would you say that's probably our bigger focus?
It's like the people that think there's this big secret to sales.
Yeah, there's this big secret way to do this and win all the time. So for that conversation, when you're not confident enough yet, like in all those things, like if I could tell you the one thing, it would just be to look at yourself and look at what you want to create. And is it a good company? Like, is it a place that helps people and doesn't screw people, and it lives by a set of values that are good? And if that's the case, like, you have to have that mindset shift and know. And honestly, that's probably when I do the best in sales, is when I go in, it's like I know in the back of my head that our company can serve these people better than probably anybody. And even if we fuck up, I'm here to make it right. And if I don't sell this, they don't get me, and they don't get my company. They don't get the cool people in my company. And just that shift of knowing that it's really your service, it's your duty to sell these people your services so they can experience something that's cool and good. And just that, starting to unwind that mindset and gain that mindset that, man, I'm uncomfortable, I'm scared, I'm not used to this, and just realizing it's like, damn, it's my job to do this so they get to enjoy their outside. It's my job to do this so they get to enjoy a great company. It's my job to do this because they get me, and even though I'm a little unsecure and a little scared because it's new, I'm going to stand behind every fucking thing I say, and I'm going to make sure they're happy when this is done.
And in that way, you can thrive as a great tech.
Yeah.
And you can thrive as someone who is a great tech, who then is able to lead others to build up their tech skills. And that's, in that way, yes, it doesn't have to look the exact way we've done it. Like, exactly. Like, I firmly believe, just like I believe everything happens for a reason, I believe like the good intentions, like good will always like outweigh evil and win over evil. And maybe that's not what people expect to hear from a podcast about sales today in the landscaping industry, but it's true. And I think if you can just take like one thing from this, like it could make a big change, because the best sales tips and the strategies, it's not secrets, and it's not how to shake somebody's hand the right way, and it's not how to get them to write a check real fast by, being all like sleazy and stuff. It's literally like all just you.
Yeah.
And being true to what you're doing. I think that's big. And I think that shift alone could be enough to have someone attract incredible people to their team if they're struggling to hire, and attract these people that will close these big sales without blinking their eyes because they believe in you just as much as you believe in you.
Yep.
I think it's powerful. So I knew today that you were going to have so much good stuff to say about it. I'm so glad we sat down to talk about this, because sales truly is your forte. because it's the confidence and because it's the mindset, and it's not because you're like the Grant Cardone, whatever. It's because like you're so authentically you. And I love that about you. And I love that you're willing to share and put this and what has worked for you out into the world, because I think the world needs more of this. And I hope that people can hear this and really embrace their own authenticity and realize that sales is not like a front to put up, it's walls to tear down. Yep. And I think we could all redefine the industry as a whole if we all went and we did that.